Hi everyone, I'm Lori with Behavior Education at Spirit Keeper Animal Sanctuary, and welcome to this presentation about my horse barn. This is going to be a presentation about the horse barn I currently run at Spirit Keeper Animal Sanctuary in Colorado. This is on behalf of Unity Environmental University. If I had an ideal horse barn, it would first of all have unlimited money, and it would have an indoor riding arena. It would have a living space above the indoor riding arena for me. It would have a barn attached to the indoor riding arena, and every horse would have a stall, and the stalls would all have outdoor access with runs that led to pastures where they could be free and run and graze and exercise. And it would have 12 Arabian horses and 7 half Arabian horses, 5 mares, 7 geldings under the purebred Arabian category, and 7 mares, 0 geldings under the half Arabian category, ages 10 to 33. And I say that because those are the Arabian horses I have now, but they live at Spirit Keeper Animal Sanctuary along with all of the other horses and animals there. The current property is 35.1 acres. It's on the eastern plains of Colorado, which is semi-arid, and it is an ecosystem known as short grass prairie. It's pretty sparse and dry. It's about 30 miles east of Colorado Springs. The land is flat. There are no trees unless they've been planted by humans. And there is a natural intermittent seasonal pond on our property. And you can see that here. If you look at this rectangle outlined in blue in the middle, that's our property. That's our 35.1 acres. And if you look at that red bubble, just to the left of that, you can see that dark area. And that dark area bleeds into the property next door. That is where the pond is. And in a good year, when we're not in a drought and we get lots of rain, that fills up with water. So our facilities include a 36 by 36 foot barn, 12 loafing sheds, 4 pastures, 4 corrals, and a hay shed. And if you look in the upper right, you can see what one of the loafing sheds is. These are sheds that are out in the pastures or out in the corrals for the horses to access freely when they want to move in and out of them. If you look at the diagram that I have outlined in plum, each pasture. So each of those purplish outlines are one of the pastures that range from a 1/4 acre all the way up to 14 acres each. And then the corrals are around the structures that you see in the upper left corner. The main barn has 3 12 by 12 stalls with attached outdoor runs, and a 12 by 12 tack room, a 12 by 12 feed room, and a 12 by 12 storage area that is also where the feral cats that we did the trap, neuter, and release program for, and that we currently feed, live and get in out of the weather. This is the main exterior of the barn. This is what it looks like. So all of our buildings, we try to go with a blue and white theme. This barn was one of the original structures here, so we've kind of outlined the loafing sheds we've added to match this one. But this is what the exterior of that barn looks like. And if you look at the far right, it does have an overhang off of the stalls that overhang part of the run, so that provides some shade. This is another picture of that. So these are the exterior runs off of those 3 stalls, and the ones on each end are extra wide because we were able to build those runs wider than the barn. The middle run is just a 12-foot wide by 60-foot long run, because we were limited by the width of that stall in comparison to where the other runs start. We have pipe for all of these runs or portable corral panels. This is the layout of the stable area, including the ventilation. So what you're seeing here is a diagram of the interior of the barn, which on the left is the grooming stall or the storage area where the feral cats are, the 12 by 12 feed room, the tack room. Then you've got the aisle in the middle, and there is in-ceiling ventilation with a cupola and eave vents in the middle aisle. And then off to the right are each of the 12 by 12 box stalls, and then there are runs off to the right of that. And then there are 2 end doors that go to barnyards or open areas where we have additional corrals, where we have an open barnyard and driveway on the west side, and an open barnyard and other corrals and loafing sheds on the east side. And then on the north side, there's a huge shed row barn, which is just a really super long loafing shed and about a half-acre corral. So we manage our water flow by just the natural topography of the land. So all of our structures are kind of grouped to the upper left-hand portion of this diagram, and that is the high ground. And so when it does rain, all of the water naturally runs from the upper left down towards the lower right or lower middle of this diagram where that natural seasonal pond is. And we just have to make sure that it continues to flow well in that direction, and we don't get any spots that we have to smooth out or do any dirt work on because they've become low spots that are holding standing water. We just need to make sure everything continues to flow in that direction. Our wind primarily comes from the north, mostly from the north, a little bit from the northwest. And so all of our structures and loafing sheds have doors that face south or a little bit southeast. Our fencing, we have different types of fencing depending on where we're using it. The corrals and runs are pipe or corral panels, and you can see some of that pipe in the background here off of the loafing shed past that blue roan horse. Those are pipe runs, and that's a 1 acre turnout corral. And then our pastures are either straight wire or no climb horse fence. And in the very, very far perimeter of our property in this picture, there is a no climb horse fence, and there's also one on the other side. So on the east and west perimeters of our property, we have no climb horse fence, and that's just on the exterior. We don't have any of that on the interior. And then we do have a dog yard, which you saw in one of the previous pictures, which is the 6-foot high commercial chain link. We have additional kennel runs inside that yard, and we have what I call airlocks, which are just a double gate system entering and leaving the dog yard. So you enter one gate, you're basically standing in a kennel run, you close the gate behind you, and then you open the second gate to go into the yard, and that's so we don't lose any dogs. So fence installation is something we had to do when we moved in here. There was a perimeter fence, and that was it. So how do you install fencing? Well, it's hard work, and having equipment helps. So first you have to dig the holes, and you can do that by hand with a post hole digger. You can do that with a handheld auger, or if you're lucky, you have a skid loader or a tractor that has a mechanical auger on it. Then you set the posts. That means whatever type of post you're using, you put the post in the hole. You usually want to concrete it in, or you just pack it in with dirt. And then you've got to install the horizontal barriers on your fence. And those are going to be the pipe, the wire, the boards, the vinyl, the cord, whatever you're using to make your fence left and right. So maintenance and hygiene is something that we have to think of every single day. We check the fences daily, and if we find anything wrong with them, we conduct prompt repairs. And then we are constantly checking hoses, waterers, spigots, any appliances used, and the basic structure to make sure if anything is damaged, because horses are notorious for damaging things. They kick, they bite, they scratch their bodies on things, and they weigh a lot. So they can easily damage things. We have to make sure to check these things every day and fix them promptly, or the whole place can fall apart. And then daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or as needed, we do cleaning. Manure management is also important. Manure attracts insects, it attracts rodents, it attracts other things, and it can cause thrush, fungal infections, unhealthy hooves if the horses are constantly walking in it. If the horses are laying in it, it can cause skin issues. And it just is a breeding ground for bacteria and other things. So we want to make sure that we keep that manure cleaned up. We typically do that by hand. We rake it up into piles, we put it in muck buckets or wheelbarrows, and we run it out to a manure pile where we dump it. Every so often, we take down some of the portable panels, and we use a skid loader with a bucket on the front to push any big areas of manure out of corrals, out of pastures, into an area where we store the manure. As far as pasture management, grazing should normally be 1.5 to 2 acres per horse. That's if they are using the pasture to eat. Exercise, if you're feeding the horses and they're just out on pasture for exercise, should be about a ½ acre to 1 acre per horse. Now, the short grass prairie in eastern Colorado where we live is dry and arid. If we are going to graze this land or grow hay on the land, we would have to irrigate it, plant it, fertilize it, cultivate it, and manage it with pasture rotation, and we have to have permits to do this. That's not what we do. Our ranch uses the pasture primarily for exercise. It gives the horses the freedom to express natural behaviors, and we place hay out in the field and we scatter it around to allow them to graze. Now, yes, they eat the weeds and the little bit of grass that grows out there, but they are primarily getting their nutrition because we spread hay out over those pastures that you saw on that map. So the years vary, and this is an example of a good year of rain and moisture. This is a year where we are actually getting some grass growth and the horses are actually getting to eat some of the grass. In years like this, we feed less hay. This is an example of drought years, which are more common. In drought years, we sometimes have no grass growth whatsoever or very sparse grass growth, and that's when we have to make sure that we not only feed them 2 to 4 times a day in buckets, but we also spread hay out around the fields so that they can graze and they have roughage throughout the day. Please remember that horses primarily need forage, friends, and freedom. And if they have those core things, they are going to be content and happy horses. Everybody also please remember to always be kind and love your animals. Thank you for learning with me today. And if you need to contact me, I am a student at Unity Environmental University, or you can email me at SpiritKeeperEquineSanctuary@gmail.com. This is a list of resources. It's pretty extensive. Feel free to contact me if you would like this resource list.